Right, so the history of the band. So it takes us back to 2015, I think was the earliest when we got together. It was myself, I think Jamie, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
And then
Jack Kirby as well.
Jack Kirby, and I don't think we didn't have Mike initially, did we? We had Lou Mack. That's who we had. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And he was with us for like a few like rehearsal sessions, and then I think like for whatever reason he couldn't make it. So then I think you were friends with Mike at the time, weren't you?
Yeah, I knew Mike through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Ian Gunning.
Ian Gunning, and we all met up at the University of West London, London College of Music. Jamie was doing music performance, was it?
That's right. Yeah.
I was doing music tech and Mike was doing music tech. So at that point it was me, Jamie and Mike, and I think that was sort of mid 2015, give or take. And
I think at that time I joined in as well, 2015 towards the
yeah,
end.
exactly. And then we like put a post on Join My Band, and then Ali, you found that, and then basically you said, I think you sent me a demo of Pray, didn't you? Like, were you singing on it? And I was like, fucking hell, that's amazing. And then like we got to get that guy down, and we still had Jack Kirby at that time, and then we got Ali down to the rehearsal studios at the university, and like I think we started with Pray, and then you sang it, and then we were all like looking at each other like, oh fucking hell, that's amazing, like that's exactly what we want. And then like because at the time Jack Kirby was like singing for us like just temporarily.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
we didn't do any like live shows or anything like that, but he was like sort of singing in the practices and stuff like that. And I remember like joking to him saying, "Oh, like you've like lost your gig now," and like he was like just started laughing at it. That was pretty funny.
Was he doing it on the tracks as well that you sent towards me? I think
Like it was either him or me, I think, as well. Like I think I did like some shitty like just like basic melodies and stuff for like the first album, just to give it an idea of like where to go. Because like pretty much as soon as we'd like started rehearsing stuff, like we went like straight away and like started recording the vocals, didn't we? Because like the thing is like the first album, Songs for the Restless Youth, that was like pretty much all written and like produced, like apart from like the vocals and like the solos and stuff, that was all like produced before like
before I even
before
was in
we'd
a
even
band.
exactly before we'd even been a band. And then most of that had come from me, and then obviously Ali put his input onto the vocals, which was really cool. And on that record, we didn't even have real drums on that. That was all like VSTs and like samples and shit. Like when you look back at it now, like I think it's kind of obvious that it's like that. But like at the time, like I remember us thinking like it sounded really good, and I think it still does sound good to a degree. But like we would have, if we had more time, we would have loved to have like recorded that with real drums. And like that pretty much came out immediately as we like announced that we were a band. And then once that had like sort of come out and we said, oh yeah, we're a band, and we were like on Facebook and Instagram, whatever, YouTube and all that, we're just like doing like the barest amount of promotion. That's when we were like, okay, we need to play some shows. And then like I think the first show we played as a band was it was the Good Ship, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah, it was a good shit.
it was a university project, I think, for you guys. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Like
yeah.
I think it was it your course or
Yeah, I think it was my course because I was in another band playing on the same day
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
I think I was in 3 bands of the 4 that played on that day.
Yeah. You were like the pin keeping it on.
Yeah, the glue.
That's it. And then yeah, like that was the Good Ship in Kilburn. We played that, and then like that went like surprisingly well for a good gig, I thought, for a first gig.
I thought it was brilliant. Yeah.
And then like we all kind of looked at each other at the end and were like, oh yeah, like this is fucking awesome. Like this is exactly what we need to do. And then like from there we booked like quite a lot of gigs in London. That's like mainly where we played for the most part. And for like the next year and like next 2 years, that's like pretty much all we did. Like played like London venues, like
Did Metal to the Masses a few times.
yeah, Metal to the Masses
Yeah.
a few times. Like we didn't win, sadly. And then where else we played? We played Tea Chances. We played
Nambuka.
Nambuka quite a few times, and then we did a few live albums there as well, which we like pretty much everything we've done's been like self-produced and like self-recorded for the most part. And we funded it all ourselves, which we're pretty proud of. Yeah, so those live albums we did there. We played Fiddler's Elbow quite a bit. Did a live album there.
That place is cursed.
What do you mean?
Well, I think every time we've played there, something terrible has happened.
Yeah, like or a guitarist doesn't like
Yeah,
turn up. or
turn up
whatever.
until like 5 minutes before we're
Yeah.
supposed to play, or
That's it.
you know.
And then like where else have we played? The Big Red, that was the other Metal to the Masses. The Gunners Pub.
Club 85 Hitchin.
Club
Yeah,
85
that was a
Hitchin,
good one.
obviously not in London, but that was like one of the best gigs we've ever played. That was like fucking awesome. Really love to play there again. Hint hint.
I would like to play in the Rockden again. And it was
Which one?
The Rockden, yeah.
I can't remember that one. Which one was
yeah.
that?
That's the one
Remind me.
you couldn't play that one because
Heard by
for
brother.
some reason, yeah. So
I was,
like my
I was
brother,
replaced.
Temporarily.
Temporarily.
yeah, like the Rockden in Hatfield, that was really good. Like, and they've got a great following, so that's like we'd love to return there. Like, it was just the atmosphere was like epic. It really was. Like, I can't say enough good things about that place. We played like a load of live gigs, and then like this is with Jack Kirby, and then eventually Jack, like I don't think it was like really his sort of thing. Like he was like really into prog and hit that sort of stuff, and he went off and did his own stuff.
I think because we were all moving out of London as well. It
Yeah,
was,
that didn't help.
You know, it's difficult to commit.
And then, so that was like, he was like off the radar at that point, and then we sort of started looking for another guitarist, and we found Jack Walsh, who was Mike's friend, I think from the start, and then we like got in contact with him, and we really liked him, really clicked, and like we did quite a few rehearsals with him, played a couple of shows with him as well, and then after a while we went to the recording studios at in Reading. Was that Reading University?
Yeah.
And then we started recording like our second EP there, and we did like initial demos of like Egypt, I think it was, that we initially did, and then like Jack was on those recordings as well. And then once we'd done that, we like took it back, and then we weren't 100% happy with it. Like we'd made a big thing of it, like, oh, we're going to this place, we're going to record this, and we spent like the whole day there pretty much. And then when we like started listening to the mixes, like I think we like overthought it. I think that was like the problem. We tried like too many different things, and it didn't really glue together the way we wanted it to. And then not long after that, like we were looking at playing more and more shows, and then like Jack Walsh was in quite a lot of bands at the time, and I'm sure he probably still is. And he couldn't commit to the sort of schedule that we had in mind, and then we sort of mutually parted ways. And then for a while we didn't really do a lot because we were all sort of moving out of London, where we'd all sort of been at uni, and obviously Ali didn't live miles and miles away, so it was a bit easier for him to meet up with us. Really in that time we hadn't really recorded that much. The only thing that really got released was the covers EP, them Aerial Children, so it was like Them Bones, Aerials, Children of the Grave, and that's pretty much the only thing that had come out in that gap of time, and we didn't really play that, that many times within that space. And thinking about it, like the last few gigs we had played was at the Rockden and the Big Red for Metal to the Masses, and that's one that I couldn't make, and Jack Kirby,
Yeah.
luckily he
played
came
bass,
in.
didn't he?
Played
Yeah.
bass, yeah.
You can do anything.
So that's like basically what had happened, and then we started being more serious about like the album that's coming out soon, and then we started looking at recording all the stuff for the newest album. So that was like, I think we started with the guitars, didn't we? Like we started recording the guitars at my place,
Yeah.
and we recorded most of it like in the space of a week, and then over like the coming months we did touch-ups on the guitars, and or went over the solos and stuff like that. And I think once that was done, I think we did the guitars first, and then we did the drums after. So me, myself, Mike, and then Joe Linden, who mixed the album, we went to the practice rooms in Stevenage and recorded all the drums, and they turned out really well. Got most of the drums done in one day. Don't do that at home.
And meanwhile, that all was happening. The vocals were being composed as well for all the songs. which
Yeah,
is-
exactly.
yeah.
So the actual
Hard work.
composition of the songs took place like over like most of that gap where we wasn't really doing a lot, and the sort of lyric writing took place with that as well. And the newest album was like more of a collaborative effort than the first album was. The first album was really just sort of my music and then Ali's melodies, whereas the current
This is
album,
the first one where it's all of us.
Everyone has come
it's
together.
all our
together,
ideas like
yeah.
meshed together.
Input.
Which I think you can tell as you listen to it because
It's a lot different, isn't it?
yeah, it's like way more diverse than the first album. And yeah, as I said, we finished recording the drums and that didn't take long. And then we started like a process of recording the vocals, and like we sat down, didn't we, and like sort of agreed that we didn't want to like rush it or like
Yeah.
do it, because we like recorded the vocals for the first album in like
Mm.
2 days,
Yeah,
I think,
it
2 or
was-
3 days. But the vocals for like the current album, we recorded over like a period of months, and like even like just one song might have been recorded over multiple sessions, and then we'd like listen back, and if we weren't happy, we'd go back and re-record it. And we did that quite a few times until we were happy with it. And then we eventually got to a place where we were like, oh, this is awesome. And then we did sort of like overdubs, like harmonies.
And those were the ideas that came up while we were recording the stuff?
Exactly, and like that's like what I really liked, is like it was kind of like a evolution as we were recording it. Like we had like the skeleton of the songs in place and the skeleton of the vocals, and then if we came up with stuff like while we were recording it, or like any other time in between those gaps, we incorporated it and then like, you know, brought it into it, and I think it gave it an extra dimension. Like there's way more harmonies and extra parts and like little layers that you wouldn't probably notice on first listening, but if you like sort of pay attention to the subtleties, it comes out quite a bit. And then that like sort of makes it stand head and shoulders above the first album as well, just that extra attention to detail. And then that process took place over like 1 or 2 years, I would say, the whole like recording process. And it wasn't that it was like difficult to do, it was like more of a time and schedule thing. So trying to meet up and like line up everyone's schedules when we're separated by distance was like really difficult. So trying to come together was practically impossible at that time. But then when it did, like when we started seeing it take shape, that's like when we could really start sort of seeing the big picture and like start getting really exciting. And we contacted Joe, who we'd worked with before on other stuff, and we're friends with his band and all that sort of stuff. He agreed to mix the album for us, and then when we started getting the initial mixes over, because we'd recorded pretty much all the stuff ourselves and done like rough mixes, but then we knew it wasn't something that we would be comfortable mixing ourselves, because we want an outside perspective on it. Because
It needed a professional touch as well.
yeah, like for real, because none of us, like we worked in music and we've done music tech, but none of us are like sort of, we've never been paid to do it. Well, I know like you obviously a guitar tutor.
Not like mixing and
No,
stuff
no,
like
nothing
that.
like that. So
No.
that's sort of like outside of our comfort zone really, and I think having that outside perspective on the songs makes it sort of stand out. You know, you can step back and you don't have that attachment to it like we would, because you know we would get precious about for certain things like guitar tones or like the way certain things were in the mix, like the levels, and you know if it wasn't just right, then you know if it was us, we could just spend fucking hours doing it. But having someone else do it, you know, they can see the big picture, whereas you know we can't. And then when we started getting the mixes through immediately, like we knew like it was going to sound fucking epic. And then each subsequent mix that we got from Joe just got better and better and better. And then when we got the final mix, like fairly recently, it just fucking blew our minds. It's so fucking good, like especially compared to the first album. Like the first album sounds like paper thin compared to it. And yeah, and that's like sort of brought us up to the current day really.